whether I feel like it or not, I have to go to training tomorrow. I have to.
There we go.
Whether I feel like it or not, in order for me to be a WBC champion,
There we go.
I have to go to training
coming.
tomorrow. I never had a really like a good example growing up of like, what am I supposed to do? I could not like emphasize how important it is to have real people in your life that believe in you. When you find your passion so young, you have to put 100% of your life into it. The greatest gift you can give to yourself is to find your passion.
When it comes to the mindset and heart of a champion, my guest, who's a 5 times Muay Thai champion and 1-time world Muay Thai champion, as well as a WBC contender, knows all about it. And as unassuming as she may look, she's as tough as they come, I'm going to tell you. Let's get into it. So, Ash, welcome to the Raw Success Show.
Hi.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Good. A little nervous, but good. This will be my
good.
first podcast ever. I've done lots of like video stuff, but like podcast stuff, this is my first podcast.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm honored that you blessed us with being your first.
Of course.
You know, I just want to say, you know, because I've watched you come up, you know, very young and move up to the ranks. And, you know, from the heart, just I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I remember when this was just a conversation, when you were just training.
Yeah.
And
We
now-
met before I even before it was even like a thought in my
Right.
brain. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, just your boyfriend was training at the time.
Yeah.
And just to know like all of the achievements and accomplishments, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
So let's talk about, you know, a little bit about your upbringing and you know, and how you came to be this world champ.
Okay. So I'm born and raised in Patterson, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Middle school was Patterson. I went to PCTI Tech. I hated sports, hated sweating.
Interesting.
I hated anything that had to do with the gym. I hated all of it. I graduated high school and I went full-time school, of course, because that's the route that I thought I was supposed to take, because that's what society tells you to take, and that's
Right.
what your parents tell you to say. Especially, I'm first generation Costa Rican, first generation Guatemalan here in America, and so my parents were like, you have to go to school in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And so I went to school full time, and then I got a full-time job at the same time. So I was in school full time, working full time. That was like it for me, and I was so incredibly depressed.
Wow.
I just think that like the way that my parents like brought me up, it was like, you work hard at your job and you get an education, like that's what's gonna measure your success. And I never really was. I was naturally good at school, I guess, but like if I applied myself to the thing that I liked, if I didn't really apply myself, I didn't really care enough to be good at school. So when I got to college, it was a big like wake up call when you realize like, if just because you were naturally good at education when you were younger doesn't mean that like in college you will be. And so my grades started slipping, and I was doing this full-time job that I had in what I call a brown office, because it was literally just an office with a whole bunch of brown stuff, brown walls, brown desks, brown cabinets, brown papers. Like it was just brown everywhere and old and the worst. And so I was doing that, and then during that time is when I actually found fighting first. Not fighting, more like I found training, not fighting, not yet fighting. It was when I found training, and that's when I was like, oh, like, wait, there's something that I can do that makes me not feel so like pent up all the time. At the time, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I was
How old were you at this time?
I was 18, 19.
Okay.
And I had a full-time job. I was going to school full-time. I just had no idea what I was doing with my life. I didn't care about my major. I was doing a double major. I was doing psychology, criminology, and criminal justice. Could care less about it. I just did it because it was something to do, and I kind of had an interest in like serial killers and stuff. But
That's different.
yeah, I do have an interest in serial killers, but the the things that we were learning, I just didn't care. I just didn't care about them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot of life was just that. And then the people I was surrounding myself with, the people that I grew up with, the place that I was raised in, like Patterson's not an easy place to be raised in.
Facts.
I have a brother that has been in and out of prison his whole life, right? Like since he was 14. I have a sister that never really knew what she was like. She has like a learning disability. So she didn't really know where her life was headed. I never had a really like a good example growing up of like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I remember having friends that had like older sisters and older brothers that like could tell them like, this is what you do. This is how you get into college. This is how you get a job after college. And this is how you do this. But I never had that. I never knew what to do. So I was just completely lost. The people I was surrounding myself with only cared about drinking and smoking and partying.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought life was about, right? Like I thought that life was about like just your 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday, going to school after your 9 to 5 from 6 to 9, and then on looking forward to what happened on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that was it. Now I look forward from Monday to Sunday. I look forward to every day of the week these days. But back then, God forbid, like, oh my God, I'd be like, it'd be Sunday night and I'd be like, I can't believe I have to wake up tomorrow morning. Like, I couldn't even imagine like feeling that these days. But yeah, so having to deal like with all of that, I was in like the worst rut. And then I found training.
Yeah.
And the first gym that I was at was when I found jujitsu and a little bit of striking, but it was mostly jujitsu.
What led you to finding the training? What was the spark? Like, you know.
So I would say that what drove me there was probably my boyfriend. Like,
Okay.
Justin is he's also a fighter. I'm very blessed to be in a relationship with somebody who understands it, because it's a very, very hard thing to understand.
Indeed.
And
Requires
it's a hard
commitment,
thing,
time.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to go through, and it's a hard thing to put all your time into. So if you're not with somebody who understands those things who is also willing to put the time to go through those things and has gone through it themselves, then it's hard to build a relationship.
Yeah.
But
Don't lose your thought.
Yeah.
That's an important thing, because a lot of people don't consider that when they partner up with somebody.
Correct. Yeah.
And either they don't consider it, right? Or think that it's necessary to communicate about, or because they don't know at the time and they get into these relationships, start having children and these long lasting commitments that are life changing, and they don't know. And the fortunate thing about you both is that I think at the point of this, where you're at, where you're explaining, you're starting to discover.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But bad.
I actually have seen multiple people, like I have, like, because I'm in this community now, I've seen a lot of my teammates like have to end relationships because the people that they're with just don't get it. They just can't understand it, or they've gotten the relationship ended on them because the person just doesn't get it. They don't get the time, the commitment that you have to put into something.
Yeah.
When you find your passion so young, you have to put 100% of your life into it, or nothing's gonna happen.
That's right.
You have to put, and although there is gonna be people that are gonna tell you like, maybe that should be like, what's your plan B? That's my biggest pet peeve, being asked. Like, I am young right now.
That's right.
I am who I am right now, and I'll never be this person. I won't be this person like in a second. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, so I have to take ownership of what I'm doing right now.
That's right.
Because you didn't put in ownership into what you were doing when you were 24, 25.
That's right.
You're telling me about the things that you want me to do and the plan Bs you want me to have. This is it. This is plan A, B, C, and D.
Yes, I love
like
it.
there is no other plan.
Yes.
So
and I tell you, don't lose your thought. As a man in his mid 40s who started having children at a very young age and didn't get to really fully commit, and at the time, if I'm honest, of course, and I will be, wasn't really aware of what my purpose was yet, because I was in the streets and blinded by that.
Yeah.
It's imperative that you know that in addition to that, this is also the easiest time for you. And I'm not saying your life is easy,
Right.
by no means. I'm just saying that for what you're doing and what you want to manifest, this stage and phase and age in life is also the easiest time.
100%. Yeah. But there are people that are my age that get into relationships with people that are like me or like-minded to me or fighters, right, that just don't get that. They only care about the mundane thing that's going to get you from point A to point B, that's going to get you successful when you're 50 and you're retired and you're whatever. I want to feel the things that I'm supposed to feel when I'm 60 and retired and laying on a beach now.
That's right.
I want to feel that now.
That's
Why can't
right.
I feel that now? Why do I have to wait till I'm 60 to feel
That's
that?
right.
Why can't I feel that today?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So people just don't get that. So I'm very lucky, very, very, very lucky to have the relationship that I have with Justin.
That's right.
And
Shout out to Justin.
I say all the time, and he knows it. And I always say he like saved my life because like he showed me, although I am the one, and he also says this, I am the one that put in the work for myself.
Indeed.
I got myself to where I wanted to be. And whether or not I would have taken like the opportunity to be a fighter or even just to train from him was my decision.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But he introduced me to the life.
Yeah,
he introduced me. Because at the time he wasn't a fighter either. He was just dabbling. He was a wrestler in high school who did boxing, who was like, I need to do something. Because he definitely grew up rougher than me.
Yeah.
But he just needed an outlet. And he wanted to show me, hey, you are in this rut. You are living this life of being in your 9 to 5, and then you're 6 to 9, going to school full time, going to work full time. Yeah, and there's more to this. There's more. Like you can find something to like let your passion out. Like you need to find something to like not just be doing that all the time.
Yeah, that's insightful and enlightening.
Yeah. And so he definitely like showed me that, but I'm very lucky to have had the mind to have picked it up and been like, you know
Absolutely.
what, I need this.
Yes.
And like I'm happy that I did, because now we are where we are. But yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Yeah.
So you found striking.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say is the key to your success? So you're at the bottom, right? You know, of the food chain in terms of fighting. Like you didn't have any skills prior to that. You weren't like a fighter, a natural fighter in high school.
Not even a natural athlete.
Nothing, which you said, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say is the key to success that led you from ground zero to now? I would say the top. You know, I mean, you're a 5-time national champion.
Yeah.
That's not no joke. Like that's real.
Yeah. I would say I'm just stubborn. Like I am known to be very stubborn. Like you tell me no and I'm like, no, yeah. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Like actually, yeah, we are going to do it.
So there were some naysayers?
Oh yeah. Like
okay.
when I first started training in general, we went to a gym this is where Justin had actually introduced me to like training and combat in general, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I found jiu-jitsu. And I thought that my route was going to be MMA and jiu-jitsu because the first coach I ever had didn't believe in me, like did not believe in my striking abilities, which I mean, I wasn't athletic. I still would say that now I guess I am athletic, but I would say I definitely was not athletic. I was never an athlete.
Yeah.
And so I never had natural talent. And he just didn't see it in me. And okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. At the time, I didn't want to be a fighter. I never had fighting.
Not to cut you out, I think that's important to highlight that she is not a natural athlete.
Right.
And she's a 5-time national champion, 1-time world champion, also a contender for the WBC. So I think that's great to emphasize and highlight because, you know, our listeners may be thinking, well, I'm not naturally this, or I'm not gifted, or I'm not talented, but you could become if you want it bad enough, like 100%. You obviously did.
Yeah.
So you were stubborn.
100%. So yeah, he was very like, he didn't care about my striking, which understandable. I guess not really understandable, but I didn't want to be a fighter at the time. Yeah. So he just didn't want to put the time into me. Yeah. I write with my left hand. In fighting, that means that I would be something called southpaw, and that's a very big. That's something like good to be. Like if you're a southpaw, like it's hard to deal with southpaws.
Absolutely.
And
most people are used to fighting righties.
Yes, and he could care less, and he changed me to orthodox. Yeah. So now I'm unfortunately an orthodox fighter.
Got you.
But because he could care less about my talent or my abilities or anything, he changed me to orthodox, and we got away from me being southpaw. So at the time, because there was nothing really put into me with striking, I thought jiu-jitsu was the route I was supposed to go, right? And then I found jiu-jitsu, and I really liked jiu-jitsu because it was something that I was like, okay, like jiu-jitsu is cool, especially for girls. Like it's a little bit easier to do jiu-jitsu because you're flexible and you like you pick up on
you're
things
using
quicker.
leverage.
Right. You're picking up on things quicker. But then we found the gym that we are at now, MK Muay Thai in Fair Lawn. And when we found it, it was right before the pandemic. And we went there about 3 times before the pandemic happened. Then we came back in the August after the pandemic. I don't know what year that was, but we went back, and it took me about 6 months before I had my first smoker. So a smoker is like a scrimmage. Yeah. But like for fighting, there's no winner. It's just like you get in there and you kind of feel what it feels like to have a fight, but you don't win. There's no winner, no loser. It's just like a scrimmage.
Right.
And I had my first scrimmage, and that came from 100% my coach just being like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, how are you feeling? What are you doing? I will always say also that I contribute a lot of my success to my coaches, specifically my head coach, Augie and Ray, because Augie was always like, if you want to do it, just do it. Yeah. And Ray's always been like, you are stubborn enough and you have the mind and you have the passion to just do it.
Yeah. That's piece that you mentioned that too, because it also highlights the importance of proper leadership, 100%, mentorship. 100%. Yeah.
I could not like emphasize how important it is to have real people in your life that believe in you, coaches that believe in you, coaches that like want you to succeed. That's right. And want to see you like do better. Like my coach Ray, he is like a big brother to me. He's a mentor to me. My coach Augie's like a second dad to me.
Is it Crew Ray? Is Ray short?
No.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Crew Ray from North Jersey Muay Thai, where I used to train. Okay.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. No, not him. Ray Maldonado. He is he is like a mentor to me. Yeah. He's a big like reason why I'm successful.
That's great.
And Augie's also like, he's like a second dad to me. He's done a lot for me. Wow. And so yeah, I attribute a lot of my success to the way that they just told me like, just be stubborn. Yeah. Just show people that you're here. Like just and Augie's just been always like the kind of person that's like just do it. Like the worst that could happen is you learn a lesson from it, and then
yeah.
And so
that's that makes sense, because like when you mentioned stubborn, right? But so before I assume stubborn, you mean like, listen, most people think that I won't be able to do this, and I'm going to show them no matter what. So that's a quality of success that I see in a lot of people. Yeah. There's this, Louis and I were just talking about this, I think yesterday or the day before. It's almost like a delusional optimism.
I say all the time that I am literally delusional. I am delusional. Wow. There's no other way to put it. Like, I remember when I first started, I remember me and Lala would have conversations.
Shout out to my daughter, Lala.
We would have conversations about like, I remember when I first started I had some friends that just like would just like, shit. So I don't know.
You can curse. You can curse. Yeah, it's okay.
They would just like shit on the things that I was doing. Like,
wow. And these are your supposed friends?
Like I would go to the gym and like I hear that they'd be like, oh, like who do you like, yeah, right, you're going to the gym. Like, who do you think you are? Because the person that I was prior to finding fitness and finding like fighting was not this person. Wow. I drank, I smoked, I partied, I did those things. Wow. Those were the things. That's the type of person I was. I like, God forbid, I sweat. So when I turned a new leaf and I
transformation
found the person that I was, they just like they just didn't. I don't know. They just didn't get it. They didn't get it. And instead of asking and trying to understand what I was doing, they were more just like, who do you think you are? Like, who do you think, like, what do you think you're doing with that?
Right.
Like, what is that? And it's like, I'm just being delusional. And the delusion has got me to 5 national belts and 1 world championship. And Delusion has got me to contend for a WBC belt.
Yeah.
And Delusion is going to get me to be on 1 championship one day.
Yeah.
And Delusion has got me to fight in Thailand. Like,
that's right.
That's where Delusion is getting me. And I'm going to continue to be delusional. And continue to say these things that I'm going to be. I'm going to be a successful gym owner.
That's right.
And I'm going to continue to make money with what I'm doing.
That's right.
Because I'm delusional.
That's
and I always say that.
Yeah,
I'm delusional. Who cares?
And you know what else you got from it too? You're healthier.
Yeah.
Like, just that alone makes you a wealthy person, because
100%.
the most, I believe, that one of the most important things in life is your health.
Yeah.
So you're healthier, you're stronger than ever, you're more positive. So even that as a byproduct alone makes you a winner.
Yeah.
In my book, and a champion, which you are literally.
Yeah. I'm very passionate about that health part of it.
Yeah.
Just because I see, when you grow up in a education system like Patterson's education.
That's right. That's
They're not going to talk to you about what you're supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
And what you're supposed to be doing. When you're walking to school, you're passing by bodegas.
That's right.
And you're eating potato chips for breakfast and butter rolls.
That's what I used to eat. Yeah.
Nobody's
with a cup of noodles, maybe.
Yeah. Nobody's telling you that what you're supposed to be eating is protein and carbs and fats. And nobody's saying those things to you.
And it's your body fuel.
Like in these areas.
Yes.
But you go to other areas and their lunches look different from our lunches.
Absolutely.
They're like the way that their moms pack their lunches look different from our lunches. First of all, our moms don't even have the money or the time.
Absolutely.
To be
Talk
lunches.
about it. That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
That's right.
So it's like that's something that I'm super passionate about, because I also see like the people that I love not knowing how to take care of their bodies, killing themselves.
That's
slowly.
right. I call it self-suicide.
Yeah. And they're killing themselves slowly, and you're hurting the people that came from you, like your grandchildren and your children, because you don't know, you're not educated enough to know that you're not supposed to be eating a Little Debbie for lunch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be eating 3,000 calories of KFC for lunch.
That's right.
Like, you're supposed to be thinking about your health, because your health is, you could have all the money in the world, but at the end of the day, you're unhealthy. You're losing.
You can't enjoy it. Exactly.
You're losing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what would you say for those people who have excuses? Because there's a lot of people from the community that experience those things, but their perspective is that they can't get out.
Yeah.
Or they can't do these things. And we're from the same community, so I'm very aware of it. And I'll even say that I used to be one of those people.
Yeah.
That's why my book is called The Power of Choice.
Yeah.
Right? So what message would you say to anyone who may be thinking like, I'm trapped, or I can't, or I don't have the resources, whatever 1,000,001 excuses and reasons people could come up with?
So my biggest pet peeve in life is like a half-asser. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you feel like you're not, like, if you're telling yourself that you can't do something yet you haven't tried, where are you finding in yourself that, like, are you not, you want to know, I don't know how to say it. Like,
yeah, say it.
Like, I feel like it's just like an embarrassing mindset to have.
Yeah.
Like we're all given the same, I mean, if you're fortunate enough, you're given the same 2 arms, 2 legs.
Right. Yeah.
Every day.
We'll say like a typical healthy person, right?
The typical healthy person has 2 arms and 2 legs. And you could only be so blessed to not have like a disability or something that's keeping you from doing those things. And even then, you see people with disabilities coming further than people with mindsets that are more debilitating than the people with the disability. So it's like, is that not embarrassing to you?
Right.
Like, are you not embarrassed to have that mindset? Like, that's, and I guess that comes from my delusion, right? Like, I'm just so delusional that I feel like, are you not embarrassed that you're not delusional? That you're not like, you know what? I can do this. I am going to be the best person in the world. I am going to be the best person in this room. I'm going to walk in this room and I'm going to be the best person in here.
That's right.
Just be delusional. Just be delusional. Like, who's going to tell you not to?
Right.
Who's going to tell? Okay, and somebody's like, oh my God, she's so delusional. Like, she's crazy.
Right.
Who cares? Who even is he? Who even is she? Like, who cares about them?
That's right.
And I feel like that's another big thing that happens these days too, is like everybody cares about what everybody else is thinking about them. Who cares? Like, is that person putting money in your pocket? No.
Right.
Is that person putting food on your table? No. Is that person putting the roof over your head? No.
Right.
So who cares about what they're saying about you? Literally just be delusional. Just be delusional. And like, just feel like if you're not trying hard enough, you should be embarrassed in a sense.
You know, a biggest thing for a lot of people is fear of failure.
Yeah.
How do you override that?
So I would say like fighting is like you have 50% chance of winning, 50% chance of losing. There is like I would say that I probably feel failure in the like at the highest level, right? Because it's literally like you're going in there, you're going in, it's you, the other person, you are literally, there's a 50% chance that you lose.
Yeah.
Like there's a 50% chance that I fail.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, like I guess I know what I've put into it. And I know that at the end of the day, even if I lose, like for example, I lost this last fight that I had. It was a hard loss because I was having a hard time finding opponents, and then the opponent that I did find was huge. She was way bigger than me. She was fighting me at my weight or walk around weight. And it's like I knew I was going in there like with a
disadvantage,
greater possibility of loss. I would say probably even greater than 50. Because of the fact that she was just so much bigger than me. I think it's about knowing that you've put 100% of yourself into something. And yes, you may fail now, but it's about the bigger picture. Like failing right now doesn't mean that you're failing at life. It just means that you're failing right now. It's about what you do after you fail and after you've fallen, and what are you doing to pick yourself back up?
That's right.
Like, what are you doing to like, all right, this time it was a fail, but what happens next time? Because I failed my last fight. I lost. I didn't win that fight. But I knew that 4 weeks after that, I'm going to have my WBC fight. So what am I going to do for this fight that's going to change?
You're moving on.
What am I learning from this experience that I had, from this failure that I had?
That's right.
To win my next one, or to win the next ones.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's more about looking at failure as lessons than just failure.
And just a moment in time. And I really hope for you that's listening that you get that this is about life.
Yeah.
She's using fighting as the form of expression and vehicle, but this is about life.
Yeah.
You know, you can apply these lessons to whatever you do in life.
Yeah, I use fighting a lot. Like I always say that fighting has blessed me with the ability to really realize like nothing's really that serious. And nothing's really that serious.
Yeah.
Like the failures that happen outside of life, outside of fighting, in life, I can deal with them.
Yeah.
Because I've like felt failure to the 10th degree. You know what I mean?
Right. So you have a reference.
Yeah.
Like, yo, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. What like all right, what am I gonna do to fix this? What am I gonna do to like stand up from what just happened to me in life? Because I know that I've been able to stand up with what's happened to me in fighting. And you really realize like nothing's really that serious, because at the end of the day, like nothing's worse than getting punched in the face.
Yo, you know what's crazy? Absolutely. You know, I have a funny story connected to that. So when I was young, I was scared to fight, right? And my mother just got, tell you the short version of the story because it's not about me, it's about you. And my mother was just tired of just like me coming home crying or complaining about whatever.
Yeah.
So she dragged me outside like old school. And my mother's an old school Dominican woman, barely speaks English to this day. And she dragged me outside and was like, yo, which one? So, I had to point him out. Pointed him out. So him and I shot the fair one. And it was the first time that I really I feel like I lost that fight.
Okay.
That I really got rocked. I punched in my face. But it was a beautiful life lesson, because when I got punched, my immediate thought was like, I didn't die.
Yeah.
Yo, this is to this day, that's like a life lesson for me. I was like,
100%.
That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And I just told you I lost that fight.
100%.
But just getting rocked, like for real, punched in my face, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was it. Wasn't what I thought it was.
It wasn't, and that's literally like
that's
what
life,
I mean.
Right?
That's life. Like that's like nothing's really what like. Things are what you make of them, right? Like things are like as big as you make it. If you don't make a moment big, then it's not a big moment.
That's right.
It's not a big moment.
That's
like
right.
You make a moment what it is. Like my coach before, I am like one of those people that like right before I walk out, like there's tears welling in my eyes. You wouldn't think it. I walk out and to the crowd, I'm like cool girl. I'm like spinning and I'm like, I'm about to like get this. I'm about to win this fight. But right before I walk out in the stairwell,
That's
oh
right.
my God.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
literally
yeah.
I'm so nervous. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like ready to cry. I'm like, oh my God,
doubt.
this is too much. And then immediately when my music comes on, I'm like, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
But my coach, right in those moments when I'm like about to like lose my marbles, like I'm about to lose my mind, he says to me, he goes, this moment is only as big as you make it. So stop making it such a big moment. Stop making it such a big moment. And like whenever he says, he probably has said that to me like every time before I fight. And he says those words and like snaps me back into reality. Because at the end of the day, like what's the worst that happens? You lose a fight and then what?
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you lost the fight and then who cares?
Yeah.
So a moment is only as big as you make it in life.
Did you get this benefit, or do you experience this benefit? I know for me now, being someone who not only is trained, but I'm very confident in my ability to defend myself as a man, which is very important for me. Do you experience that too? Like now you're a woman. I know you're not a man, obviously, but you're a woman, and I believe like women should be able to defend themselves also.
Absolutely.
Do you experience the benefit of that as well? Like you can walk in a room and know, like, yo, I could beat up, most chicks out here.
Yeah. I actually would. Yeah, I do experience that benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I think that the confidence level that I was so unconfident before I started training.
Yeah.
Not even just fighting, but just training. I was so unconfident.
Yeah.
Now you really can't say anything to me. Like I feel like I can beat girls and men. I think I can do men and women. I've been in rooms with men where I'm just like,
bruh.
Like
especially nowadays, man. With these, we won't even get into that. With these
100,000%,
you know what I mean? You already know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think that yes, there is a huge benefit. And I say it all the time. When I have kids, I am 1,000% putting them in wrestling. I am putting them in Muay Thai. I am putting them in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yes.
I'm letting them find their thing. But one of the things that they do, whether it's jiu-jitsu and baseball or wrestling and dance, one of the things that they do is going to be a combat sport at the end of the day, because nothing creates a more confident person than that. I work with children. I work with kids in my privates, and I work with kids in classes, along with adults and whatever. But I also work with kids. And I've literally had parents come up to me and be like, I need you to help me with my daughter's confidence. You have to help me. Like, I'm having such a hard time. Like, she is not doing good with her confidence. She's not doing good at school. Like, I need you to help me, please. And it's like literally a parent crying out for help, because the worst is losing your child to that, right? Like losing, like even just emotionally losing your child to that. But I could only imagine, physically. But emotionally losing your child to not being confident, or like to losing that spark that they have. And so parents are literally crying out for help with that kind of stuff. And that's why when I have a kid, that is one of the first things that they are learning. And it's a combat sport.
Indeed. And let me ask you, so as someone who's you conquered anxiety and depression, and those things seem to be like buzzwords that people use, and I know there's people that's actually clinically depressed, right? So this isn't to them, I definitely respect that. But I feel like most people who say they're depressed or are experiencing anxiety, I think they just need to be more active in life, right?
Agreed.
So what would you say to women out there, or anybody in general who may be experiencing anxiety, depression, lack of confidence? What words would you share to them?
I guess I would say, one, if your main priority is men, stop making that your main priority. If that's number one. Number two, if you don't have your thing, find your thing. The greatest gift you could give to yourself is to find your passion.
One of my favorite quotes, don't lose your thought, by the way. One of my favorite quotes is the 2 most important days of your life, and I'm paraphrasing, is when the day you were born and the day you discover why you're here.
Yeah, 100%.
2 most important days of your life.
Yeah. And so if your life is revolving around somebody that's not yourself, fix that. Because you are the only person that will, from the day that you are born to the day that you die, are with yourself.
Don't lose that thought, right? You know, I find that even people my age don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So would you say, you know, I'm hesitant to use the word luck because I don't really believe in luck, but I'll use it for lack of a better word. Would you say that you're just lucky? Would you, how can someone find themselves? I mean, maybe that's another question that you want to answer outside of, the original question that you were answering.
Yeah. I don't know if I would say I'm necessarily lucky. I think that I...
Like, did you take the time to do self-discovery or did it just happen?
No, definitely not. I think that the self-discovery came from all the times that I've had to struggle through like training and oh my God, through the hours and hours of grueling, like training my mind, training my body, training the way just like the training in general, because a big part of it is your mind, like
Absolutely.
your mindset with stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily lucky, because I feel like, I guess you could say that, but I feel like luck kind of like the word lucky, what's the word, dismisses the work that you put in.
Indeed.
That
Indeed.
gets you to where
that's
you
why
are.
I didn't want to use the word. But
Yeah.
you know what? Better word. Fortunate.
Yes. There
Fortunate.
We go.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yes, I am very fortunate to have had.
Like just have the right boyfriend. And so right.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have found, to have.
And I know you did all the work. I'm not taking
yeah.
away from that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we know that life isn't like this isolated thing.
Right.
There's a whole bunch
It's
of
about the
pieces.
people around you too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to speak for you, but I even say that something that helped with the self-discovery is doing all of the things that you hated doing.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Because it just taught you like, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100,000%. Yeah, you have to do the things that you hate to find out what are the things that you love.
It leads you there.
100%.
And then your antenna was up. I like to use that as a metaphor. Your
Yeah.
antenna was up looking for something.
100%. You have to go through the things that you hate in order to find things that you love.
And you were open because even though you're not a natural athlete, you said you still was open to training.
Yeah. I needed something. I was so in a rut. I was so down. I was so I think back to that time of my life, and I literally would have done anything to just find a light.
Wow.
I remember, it's actually crazy because before I met Justin, the week before I met him, I remember being so down and out and so just in this dark place that I said to myself, I was looking up boxing gyms in my area, because I was I need to find something. I just was so not confident. So there was no confidence in my ability to be able to walk into one of those places that, God forbid, I did that on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very fortunate to have found Justin to have pushed me through the door. It's about what I did inside of the building
go.
when I got there.
Right.
That was all me.
But wait a minute. So before you met Justin, who's a fighter,
Yeah.
you were Googling
Yeah.
boxing gyms.
Yeah.
And then you so happened to meet a fighter?
Yeah.
If that's not manifestation
Yeah.
at an all-time high, I don't know what that is.
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
always
amazing.
think about that. Yeah, I think about the string theory altogether though, because have you ever heard of the string theory?
No.
People being connected by strings. I don't know. It's something that I saw on the internet.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But people being connected, for example, me and Justin went to the same high school together and had some mutual friends, but never spoke a word to each other.
Wow.
He didn't even know I existed. He literally didn't even know I existed. Yeah, I knew. I'm not gonna lie to you. I knew he existed because he had really cool sneakers, and he always had a different pair of sneakers on, and I couldn't even fathom that because I just didn't. That wasn't how I was raised or whatever, and I didn't have the money for it. But Justin's dad always gave him the coolest sneakers, and I remember I had a best friend that took the same bus as him, and I thought he was so cool because he would he was so outspoken. I'm telling you, I was so unconfident. I couldn't even speak to people. I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't even look at people in their eye. I was so unconfident. And that might have translated to me being a little rude probably. But in reality, I just had such a social anxiety about like talking to people and like saying the wrong thing, that I couldn't even talk or like to look people in their eye. But Justin was always such a like, he just had so many friends all the time. He like freaking like him and Lala were like friends for like years and years and years.
Right.
And so I always talk about how like, I remember I would see him, but he didn't know who I was. And like whatever, we went to the same high school, but we never spoke a word to each other. And we would ride the same bus sometimes because my best friend at the time was on the same bus as him. And I never spoke to him, and he would walk, and like I wouldn't even like look at, and then I forgot about him altogether after we graduated from high school, and like didn't even put a second thought to him.
So I know you knew of him. You thought he was cool. Were you attracted to him?
No, I just like knew he existed.
Yeah, got you.
Like I wouldn't even say that like I knew anything about him, because I knew nothing about him. I didn't know his last name. I just knew he existed as a person.
Got you.
And then the existence of him like faded away in my brain, right?
Right, you moved on.
Because people only exist if you let them exist in your mind.
Indeed.
That's what I think about
Indeed.
too.
Indeed.
But like right now, people in Australia don't exist to me because they're not here in front of me, and they're not talking, and they're not in my brain. But that's a whole other thing that I'm weird about. But yeah, so he stopped being a thought in my brain.
Right.
And then we graduated from high school in 2017. And then in 2019, this is going to be so new age, but he liked one of my pictures on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, this is Justin. This is the one, because the way that people knew Justin was that he got big. He used to be he used to want to be a bodybuilder.
Indeed.
So he got like lots of big muscles, right? Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, this is that kid that got big in high school. That kid named Justin. And then it just like sparked from there and whatever. So yeah, I definitely was fortunate to have found him and to have had him pull me through the door, or like I guess just like open the door for me to walk in. But like the things that I did when I got through the door are all things that I like did myself.
I love it. You know, something that I also hear that's aligned with my transformation, which I think is a universal principle, is you wanted more for yourself.
100%.
You were at the bottom. You're putting in the work, Googling, boxing, like, yo, I need to do something with my life. This ain't it.
Yes.
So there's this thing with, I believe, when people ask me about my transformation and my personal development, as simple as it may sound, I just desired to be something different. Yeah. You know, my man Coach is in the room right now. He'll tell you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and also too, I knew that there was more out there. Like I'm from 10th Ave and 23rd, Patterson. But I knew, as much as I love where I'm from, I just knew that this was a big world. And I think part of it is, you know, I was blessed, you know, being Dominican. I've traveled when I was young. I was born here. I'm a first generation born here also. But I just was exposed. Like I was spending summers in the Bronx. Yeah. And, you know, I lived in Cali. So I just always had an inclination that there was more to life.
So that's a big part of it, right? Like I feel like the reason why people are so stuck, like let's just like use Patterson as an example.
Yeah, which we love Patterson. We're not down in the people or the city, but
But people are so stuck in places like Patterson because they don't know that life expands beyond Patterson.
Yes.
Like Patterson is their world.
Right.
Like that's it. Like that's it for them.
Yeah.
And so they don't get like that. Like I actually like have Justin's uncle that is like he's never been out of the state.
Yo, I know people, mind you, I'm much older than you, obviously. I know people that have never been on a plane.
Yes, I know. And it's crazy to think that like there's people like, and it's usually in areas like this because they can't afford to go on a plane, right? Yeah. Or they don't know, they've never seen these kind of things.
Or they're scared.
Or they're scared.
Yeah.
And they just like, they don't see like that there's so much more to life. There's so much more to life. Yeah. And once you experience those things and you start seeing like, holy crap, like there really is this whole world out there for us to explore. Right. So much for us, so much to exist in our brain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And they don't, unless you understand that, you're never gonna be able to.
So I know we drifted a little bit. So what would you say to those people who are experiencing anxiety and the down moments? You know, let's say get back to that.
Experiencing down moments.
Yeah, or feeling down, or they're at the bottom, in life.
That's a hard place to get out of. I would say the way you feel is. Are you saying this like if it's like clinical depression or like it just like in a like dark place?
I would say in a dark place because we're not doctors.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't even want to touch on like the clinical stuff, right? I'm more because I just think that people use those terms and I just feel like they're exaggerating. Like, no, bro, just get up and like do some push-ups.
100%.
Like, you're talking about you're depressed. Like, there's nothing wrong with you, bro.
Yeah.
You're just not doing enough. You're not being active.
100%.
So we were touching on self-discovery.
Right.
Yeah, and then we drifted off.
Okay, yeah. So I would say just you have to put the time in to find your thing. There's a lot of people that are like in this rut, but they're not even trying to get out of the rut. Like they're just like, they're just sitting in it. They're soaking in it.
Yes.
And part of the reason why I am where I am is because I was trying to find a way to get out of like that like bad place.
That's right.
Like, the
you were fighting
dark
back.
spot. Like because you know what? Like the way I was raised, like my mom and my dad were like, you'll be happy when you're successful after this 9-to-5 job that you get for all that money and then like the education that you get from college.
Right.
That's when you'll be happy.
Right.
And I'm like, but I'm sad now. Like, I want to be happy right now. This like, and I'm sure there are people, I know people that can be happy doing those things and they love doing those things. That's what makes them happy. But that's not everybody's thing.
Right.
And it sure as hell was not my thing.
Indeed.
Like definitely was not my thing. So I needed to find my thing. And if you're sitting there and you are in that dark place, you have to ask yourself, am I doing everything in my power to leave this place? Or am I sitting here soaking in the things that I'm doing?
That's right.
Like if you a lot of self-reflection needs to happen when you're in those places. But you're only able to do self-reflection when you're being like open-minded self-reflection. Until then, you're going to continue to stay in the place that you are. You're going to continue to be in a dark place and down in the dumps until you finally something clicks in your head one day where you're like, holy shit, like I need to get out of this. Like the deeper I get into this, the worse this will be.
Indeed. So what would you say is one of your, I won't say one, but some downs moments or hard moments that you've experienced? Because a lot of people mention like how, I struggle with discipline, and man, I've even watched you, like even when you came in, you had your bottle of water and you was like, I got to drink a certain amount. So to be a fighter at your level, you got to have next level discipline or discipline, period. And so many people talk about, I don't have discipline. I struggle with discipline. I can't wake up early. I can't do this. I can't. How do you apply discipline? For those who say they lack discipline or they struggle with discipline, what would you say to them?
I would say you're lacking confidence in wanting to be the best version of yourself. Like you just like...
They haven't found something to really push them, right?
Not even just that. Like, why can't you just want to be the best human being on earth?
Indeed.
That's part of being delusional. Like, I want to be the best at fighting, but I also just want to be the best person, period. So like, that's what drives me. Like, I want there to be like when, I'm not kidding, when kids come up to me and ask me for pictures, that's what drives me. You know what I mean? Like you want you want to be the best version of yourself. Why can't that be your driving force to be disciplined? Right. Like you're okay with like being like with feeling the way that you feel every day. Like you know how you feel after you just had that McDonald's. Right. You know how you did.
Or after you said you were going to go to the gym and you didn't.
Yeah, you know how you felt. You want to keep feeling that?
Right.
Like you want to continue to be subpar. Right. Like, and I feel like you get that. Like, I feel like you understand where I'm coming with that. A lot of people are probably gonna feel like that's like how I'm talking is very harsh and very like it's very like harsh, I guess. Like, it's like a harsh way of
definitely.
like speaking. Yeah. But I feel like that's another thing that fighting has gotten me, right? Like, it's just like you see things as they are.
That's right. Call it out.
There's no sugar coating anything. Like,
a punch in the face is a punch in the damn face.
Life is so sugar coated these days. Like, it's very black and white. There are times where things are gray. I understand that. But things are very black and white. It's either you want it or you don't. So either you're disciplined or you're not. And listen,
Yeah.
everybody has a slip up. I'm not gonna lie. I've had slip ups.
Yeah.
The most disciplined part. David Goggins has had slip ups.
Of
You know
course.
what I mean? Everybody has slip ups.
Yeah.
It's about what you do after those slip ups
That's
that
right.
matter.
I actually add slip ups to my regimen.
Yeah.
Like I leave room for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's going to happen. Nobody's
Right.
perfect. Nobody's a perfect human being.
Yeah.
But it's about being like, it's about not letting that become an avalanche.
Right, and that's the key.
And like not letting that snowball into, oh, well, I'm just going to throw everything I just worked for away.
Right.
God
right.
forbid. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
If I let every time that I've slipped up and I've maybe instead of running 4 miles, I ran 3 miles, or instead of doing this, I did that, or instead of eating what I was supposed to, I might have had dark chocolate instead or something.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, if I let those things dictate, like whether I'm gonna throw everything away, I would not be where I am. Not even a second would I be where I am. It's not like that is the thinking of a weak-minded person.
Straight up. And what I tell people, it's simple. Maybe I'm like a machine, but if I said I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it whether I feel like it or not.
Yeah.
Bro. And do I make modifications? Yes. Like, let's say I have, let's say for whatever reason, I'm tired and I don't have it to run the 2 miles today. Well, I'm going to walk. Because I don't like the way I feel when I don't do what I said I was like.
When you make excuses.
But I'm different. Like if I'm late to something, I feel bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that there's the number one is having high standards. Like I have high standards for myself.
100%.
I have high standards for myself. And number two is, whether I feel like it or not, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Straight up, fam.
So there's that, right? There's also that part of like, I just feel like society today in general, people care way too much about the way that they feel. Like about like the emotions attached to
Get out.
Like whether I feel like it or not, I have to go to training tomorrow. I have to.
There we go.
Whether I feel like it or not, in order for me to be a WBC champion,
There we go.
I have to go to training
coming.
tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to run my miles tomorrow.
There we go.
I have to do my strength and conditioning.
There we go.
I have to eat my meals.
That's right.
I have to do those things, whether I want to or not, whether
That's
I
the
feel
key.
like it or not.
Straight up.
So that's how I am about life in general.
That's it.
If I want to make money with what I'm doing, if I want to be successful in what I'm doing, I have to do certain things, whether I feel like it or not. I have to go do my privates, whether I feel like it or not.
Yeah.
I have to create a clientele, whether I feel like it or not. I have to do these things, whether I feel like it or not. That's it. And some people are like, you know what? I'm going to take a self-care day. And I'm going to do.
Right.
You can't take 7 self-care days in a row. That's a
Right.
full week. And then you're going to take one next week. And then one the week after. Like, come on.
For me, my self-care, I got to earn it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, yeah.
And I get okay, I understand self-care. I'm an advocate of self-care. Okay,
Indeed,
yes,
indeed.
100%. But also, it's about like just doing things when you don't want to do them. That's when
it.
you get the most
Yeah.
satisfaction
Straight
out of
up.
yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So 1,000 years from now, before I get to that, let me ask you this. Do you read? Are you a reader?
Yes, but I don't read I read fantasy.
No, that's cool. That's cool. What would you say do you have like a favorite quote? So normally what I ask people is like, what's their favorite book? So I'll ask you, is there a favorite quote or a favorite song that motivates you? Something that stands out to you that inspires you, something that you use as a reference point maybe when you don't feel like it.
Yeah. I have one like a mantra that I say to myself. I say success and happiness. Those 2 words.
Success and happiness. Success and happiness.
If I feel like something's a sign or I see something I'm like, all right, success and happiness. And then I'll go.
Yeah.
And it'll just be those 2 words. I also am very into Disney. That's kind of one of my things.
Okay.
I think it's like me healing my inner child and whatever. But
That's your play.
There's a song called Almost There. And it's a song from The Princess and the Frog.
Okay.
And it's not hardcore. It's literally just talking about, it's just a girl, a princess, but she's a worker that's talking about how she's almost there. She's almost successful.
Yeah.
Just keep going. You're almost there. Just a couple more steps, a couple more days,
Love
a
it.
couple more seconds, and you're almost there. Like,
Yeah.
just keep going. You're almost there. And that song, almost anytime somebody's like, what's your song? I'm like, that's my song.
I love it.
Yeah.
So 1,000 years from now, when someone is reading your eulogy, what would you want to be remembered by in one sentence?
That's a crazy question. That's really good. In one sentence, she was the hardest worker in the room. Yeah.
She was the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, Ash, thank you for your time.
course.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, and once again, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all of the success
Thank you. It means
that
so
you have accomplished and you will continue to accomplish. And when you get that WC title, we're gonna have you back and come, talk about that.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Peace and power.
And new WBC Muay Thai U.S. National Flyweight Champion out of the blue corner, Ashley Blanco.
Ashley Blanco has done it with a unanimous decision win. One judge giving her 4 rounds, one judge giving her 3, and the other judge giving her all 5 rounds. She has done it and brought the first WBC title back to MK Muay Thai.